Good evening, good evening. You're live with Alvin After Dark, brought to you by BMW Freeport, located at 291 West Sunrise Highway in Freeport, New York. Please visit their service department located at 100 Cleveland Avenue in Freeport, New York, and contact Alvin Peters himself at the showroom. Direct line is 516-740-6132. We have some friends of the show. Friends of the show is Friends Support the Diocese of Belize. BIG, Belize Independence Group. Ricky E. Smith out of Atlanta, SmashMouthFM.com, and DJ More Fire, DJ Face Off, Shantice Hogue, Simply Crafted for You. Those are good friends of the show. So, people have asked me, what are you going to talk about this week? And it was supposed to be about fashion, entertainment, and relationships. But we're going to talk about Black Lives Matter and all the current events that's going on with our police throughout the United States and Black America. And, so if you want to call in, you want to vent, you want to give your opinion, you want to talk about it, please give us a call at 516-945-9099. And I got some pictures I'm going to put up, in a little while, not right now, but one of the things that I actually put up recently on my page was, once again, I always listen and read people's messages, and I really take in what they're saying and things like that. Because for me, I pay attention first and want to give my opinion after, just because I'm listening to what everyone's saying. And what I did was I finally kind of I guess give my sentiments. I'm going to read what I said a few days ago, and I said, this is on my social media site. So I said, good evening, Facebook. I always wait before sharing my thoughts. I observe, I pay attention to each of you. I read your posts, comments, and watch your videos. I must say, I commend all of you for sharing your heartfelt emotions, no matter how positive or negative they are or perceived. I would like everyone to understand this one thing. Some of us listen to understand, some listen just to hear, while others listen to comprehend, understand, and hear. So I would like each of you who reads this message to understand it, comprehend it, and hear it loud and clear. People are tired of being sick and tired. It's not that people hate police officers. People hate that we have a system that is broken that protects certain police officers when they are wrong, when they commit a crime, and when they continue to murder people of color on camera and nothing is done. And it seems to be the same story, just different characters in the story. When we say F the police, it's out of hurt, anger, compassion, and frustration. Yes, I know this is a double-edged sword, especially for police officers who want to speak out but can't. The first step to fixing the problem is admitting there is a problem. So what do y'all think was going to happen next? That the march and praying and people being nonviolent? No. Before it gets better, it's going to get worse for both sides. We need the politicians to speak up and change these laws that have been grandfathered in. We need police officers better trained on dealing and communicating with the people they're supposed to protect and serve. We need the community to respect and comply with police officers. We need the community to work together with police officers in general. We all want change. Therefore, we must be the change we all want to see. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over. Remember, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Let's talk with each other and come up with a better way on bridging the gap between citizens and police. Just because someone is pro-black doesn't mean they're anti-police. And just because someone is anti-police doesn't mean they're pro-black. So that's one of the things that I put on my Facebook, social media. And I had a lot of friends who commented. And a good friend of mine, Tamara, said, thank you for always sharing your thoughts on all things, Alvin. We all have to be willing to be part of the solution. Fear is a big factor in these unnecessary, senseless, and devastating painful events. Fear of change, fear of giving in, fear of each other. Whatever the reason, fear representing false evidence appearing real. We have to make a change as a unit, as a community, as a family, as people together. Truly acknowledging the problem and having the conversation is the first step. Putting our words into positive action to move forward is a challenge. Just my thoughts for right now. Pray peace for all affected. Another friend of mine out of the New England area, Elaine Healy. Alvin, I appreciate the way you give thought and seek to understand. Earlier today, I was told that I shouldn't have an opinion on this situation because she's white and a white woman. But this is my country too. Of course, I have an opinion. Other people say, very well said, brother. And it goes on, and it goes on. It's amazing because I did a show, Black Lives Matter, in February, and it's funny because on Facebook we have it tells you what you did last year, the same date, and we were talking about this literally last year, same time, and the year before that, the same time, and the year before that, the same time. So it goes to show you that we keep repeating the same cycle, and we have to stop. So people say, well, Black Lives Matter. And someone says, well, all lives matter. And we're having the same conversation. And it's not that all other lives do not matter. I gave the example of if there's a house on fire, the fire department and firefighters come to put out that house that's on fire. Not the surrounding houses that isn't on fire, but that house that's on fire. Because the one that's on fire right then and there is the one that matters and the ones we must save. So it's the same concept. It's the same thing with anything else. Cancer. Breast cancer matters. Not that any other cancer doesn't matter. But when they speak about breast cancer, someone doesn't say, well, colon cancer matters. No. Or brain cancer matters, skin cancer matters. No. At that time, we're talking about breast cancer. Breast cancer awareness month. Same thing, same difference. But, in February, I told you about a book, and the book was called Black Like Me. And I wrote it down, and once again, I didn't bring that down with me, but it was a white man, who decided what it will be like to be black in the Deep South. And the only way to understand a man is to jump in his skin and walk around. So we speak about white privilege and Black Lives Matter. When the reality part of it is that if you are a white person, you're never going to know what it is to be a black person, or vice versa. But white privilege is something that white America just doesn't understand because it's something that they don't have to think about. And that's what it is. So I have a few stats here. Black teens were 21 times as likely as white teens to be shot and killed by police between 2010 and 2012, according to a ProPublica analyst of the FBI data. Interesting. Black males between the ages of 15 and 34 were 9 times more likely to be killed by police officers than any other demographic. This group is also accounted for 15% of all 2015 deaths from law enforcement encounters, despite making up just 2% of the U.S. population. This is FBI data. Nearly 1 in 3 black people killed by police in 2015 were identified as unarmed. though the actual number is likely higher due to unreporting. So once again, we find ourselves in the same position, the same predicament, and it's scary. They say good things come out of bad things, and it's unfortunate about the police officers in Dallas who were killed. And my heart goes out to those families. My condolences to those families. And it's sad because they were there, just being there, doing their job, being the protectors of the people they serve, while they were protesting, and they were killed. It's unfortunate, it's sad, and it's senseless. And if you look at what's going on right now in America today, not only is white America showing you that they care, but everyone in general, people across the world, because people are saying, wow, enough is enough. Why is it that when the police are being videotaped and is blatantly shown in front of everyone to see that that individual was wrong? So what has to happen? Once again, police officers need to be better trained and admitting they're wrong. Why does it have to go to trial, to court? We see it. Because if it was the other way around and a criminal does something wrong and is on camera, they're wrong, prosecuted, and they're proven guilty. But whenever it's a police officer, oh, well, we don't know what happened before that happened. No. Once again, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. And it's sad. So police officers need to be better trained. And if you're a police officer and you're scared of the environment that you're in, then you're in the wrong profession. Your job is to protect and serve, and you gave an oath. And it's black and white. It's your job. I have some other things I want to talk about as well, which was, once again, I go on Google, MSN, Yahoo News, and I get all my information, and it's amazing the amount of information that's out there. But I think one of the most amazing things is how people are starting to really come together. But before I get into that, is a picture that I have of Aisha Evans in Louisiana. Powerful picture, very powerful. So she's a nurse and lives in Louisiana, and she's taking a stance. This is a few days ago. Powerful picture. All you see is a black woman in front of armed police officers. She's like, listen, enough is enough, because I have a son. So just take a look at that picture, and each of us, they say perception is reality, but each of us can take away something different from this picture. Now, when I saw it, I immediately put it on my social media, on my Instagram, on my Facebook, because I wanted to share it with everyone. It's definitely a powerful picture. It's definitely a powerful picture, and like I said, it's just amazing what's going on in America today. There's also another picture that's there next.
Before we go to the other picture, can I just comment on that picture?
Sure.
You know what that picture reminds me of?
What's that?
Tiananmen Square. With the China in the
Oh,
China,
yes.
China.
Yes.
With that Chinese guy.
That's
and
right.
The Chinese police.
That's right.
Doing the same with the tank or whatever.
That's right.
Very reminiscent of that.
It's a powerful picture.
Yeah. Well, that Tiananmen Square picture is extremely
exactly.
powerful too.
Yeah.
So this is very eerily similar to that one.
Yeah. And we have another picture as well. Another picture is of another young lady, a black young woman. She's saying, "You're blue 40 hours a week. I'm black 24/7, 365. Okay, so I know that I have personal friends who are police officers, and we know that, when you're a police officer, you are a police officer 365 days a year. But you do not go through the same challenges as Black America. And I had a ton of videos I wanted to put up, but I can only put up so much. But throughout history, Black America has not been treated fairly. So what happens is it has started since whenever it started, and is moving up until now. From when mortgages started coming into play, blacks couldn't get mortgages. When VA benefits, the GI benefits were given to white soldiers, they weren't given to black soldiers. They weren't even considered. On Google, I think this was July 8th, I believe. Google took a public position in the fatal police shooting of Alton Sterling and Philando Castile on Thursday, saying it stands with the fight for racial justice. The internet giant, which has made more than $5 million in grants to racial justice organization in the past year, tweeted its support using hashtag Black Lives Matter. So these huge organizations are taking a stand and saying, listen, also, enough is enough. We keep seeing black men, black children, black women on the front cover of the news media, on the timelines of social media. So when's it going to stop? So I have a video that I want to share. It's a very interesting video. It's a video of a police officer that actually arrested a man that he should not have arrested. And take a look at this video.
We end this week with a lesson in forgiveness from Steve Hartman on the road.
It all went down on this block in Benton Harbor, Michigan. Back in '05, Jamel McGee says he was minding his own business when a police officer accused him of and arrested him for dealing drugs.
You saying the officer made it up?
Yeah, it was all made up.
Of course, a lot of accused men make that claim, but not many arresting officers agree.
So you phonied the report?
I did. I falsified the report.
This is former Benton Harbor police officer Andrew Collins.
Were you just trying to chalk up an arrest?
Basically, the start of that day, I was going to make sure I had another drug arrest.
And in the end, you put an innocent guy in jail?
Correct. Yeah.
You lost everything.
I lost everything. My only goal was to seek him when I got home and to hurt him.
Really?
That was my goal.
Eventually, that crooked cop was caught, served a year and a half for falsifying many police reports, planting drugs, and stealing.
Of course, Jamel was exonerated, but he still spent 4 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Today, both men are back here in Benton Harbor, which is a small town. Maybe a little too small.
Hey guys, thank you.
Last year, by sheer coincidence, they both ended up at Mosaic, a faith-based employment agency where they now work side by side in the same cafe.
Oh, excuse me.
And it was in these cramped quarters that the bad cop and the wrongfully accused had no choice but to have it out.
And I said, honestly, I have no explanation. All I can do is say I'm sorry.
And Jamel says that was all it took.
That was pretty much what I needed to hear.
Today, they're not only cordial,
Saturday, we went to the trampoline park.
they're friends.
We talk about life.
Such close friends. Not long ago, Jamel actually told Andrew he loved him.
And I just started weeping because he doesn't owe me that. I don't deserve that,
Did you forgive for his sake or for yours?
No, for our sake. Not just us, for our sake.
Jamel went on to tell me about his Christian faith and his hope for a kinder mankind. He wants to be an example. So now he and Andrew give speeches together about the importance of forgiveness and redemption.
Grab this, we'll set it over there.
And clearly, if these two guys from the coffee shop can set aside their bitter grounds, what's our excuse? Steve Hartman, on the road, in Benton Harbor, Michigan.
And that's the CBS Evening News for tonight.
So I saw that video and it touched a soft spot. And if it were only that simple, and the reality is it kind of is that simple. You know, it's like I say, when you forgive someone, you're not forgiving them for them. You're forgiving that person for you so you can move forward with your life. Now, here's a classic story of a police officer who lied on a report, who lied on another black man, and he would have got away with it. But that's the case scenario all the time. So what do we do? You know, how can we fight this fight, right? So, like I said, the first step to admitting a problem, the first step to I'm dealing with a problem is admitting there is a problem. So what do? We realize that, once again, we need police officers who can be trained on how to deal with the public that they serve. You know, you need officers that when you walk by them, they say good morning to you, good afternoon, you know, and that's a part of just human nature, you know. So it's something that we have to deal with day in and day out. Now, you know, I've had police officers stop me, and like I said before, it's unfortunate that a conversation with a black family with their young teenagers, both young teenage boys and girls, our parents say, when the police stop you, this is what you have to do. This is what you have to say. You have to comply. You have to show respect to that police officer. But mostly, if you think about it, no other race of people have to go through this. So we literally my parents have had conversations with me about when I get stopped by the police to give them the utmost respect that they deserve, no matter how disrespectful they are to me. So ask the question, do white parents do this to their children, their teenagers? More than likely not. Also in the news, the black doctor who tried to save the lives of the Dallas police officers said this: "I defend you, I will care for you, but I still fear for you." And I had a video, but I couldn't upload the video. The video was about him actually talking and how emotional he was. I think most of you probably saw the video already. And it says, trauma surgeon Brian Williams is running Parkland Memorial Hospital emergency room the night 7 officers arrived after a shooting rampage in downtown Dallas by a lone gunman who targeted police. Williams, whose hospital routinely treats multiple gunshot victims, quickly went to work that night. Later, he choked back the tears when describing how 3 officers died at the hospital. "I think about it every day, that I was unable to save those cops. When they came here that night," Williams said at an emotional news conference Monday, "it weighs on my mind constantly." So I kind of want to go back to what he said. He says, "I defend you, I will care for you, but I still fear you." And once again, with Black Lives Matter, it's not saying that other lives don't matter, but you have to understand what we, as men of color, as people of color, go through when we see police officers. When I drive down the street, or if I'm driving on a parkway, a highway, and I see a police cop car, what do? We look in our rearview mirror like, okay, is he going to come? Is he going to turn around? Is he going to stop me? So those are the things that we actually go through in our minds that white America just doesn't go through. You know, so those are the challenges that we have amongst us. But one of the most beautiful things is another video that I have, and one of the most nicest things is that these events are sparking this. They're sparking a fire under people's ass and saying, "Wow, you know what? I have been blind to what's going on all this time, not realizing that police officers, once again, certain police officers, I was going to say, 'cause not all, certain police officers are getting away with murder. And it's time that we took a stand." So the other video I have is a video of people showing the emotions, their signs, and saying, "Hey, we're with you." Let's show that video.
We're here in a vigil to support Black Lives Matter.
So once again, all across America, people are finally taking a stand, and not that they didn't before, but they're realizing that there's a problem. There is a problem with our judicial system. There's a problem with our law enforcement system. There's a problem with the system in itself. You know, it's amazing when, like I said before, a tragedy has happened, and I'm asking myself, well, have people decided to open up their eyes because they saw these two men murdered again on social media? One was streamed live, or is it because of the police officers that were killed because of the events? Whatever the reasoning was, I don't know, but they decided to take a stand, which is great. You know, we need to be humane to each other. Are we only humane when the mood suits us? And we shouldn't be. We should be humane all the time. There's people out there with shirts that says "free hugs." So instead of people being mad and rioting and doing things that they shouldn't do, take a stand and do something right. It will behoove you to do it. It's funny because with everything that's going on, there's also still something negative or out of left field. It's amazing because North Carolina law makes police cam footage off limits to public. It's very interesting. The bill signed into the governor Pat McCrory of North Carolina says McCrory signed House Bill 972 on Monday afternoon. The new law details who can view and obtain footage from body and dashboard camera. The footage is no longer public record. If you are in the video, either your image or your audio you can request a file. The request could be denied, however, and then you have to take the fight to Superior Court. So let me get this straight. And I'm not done reading. So this governor now is signing a law that police camera footage is off limits to public. LA, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely don't agree with it. If you have nothing to hide, then why wouldn't you let anybody be able to view it?
I was thinking the same thing.
So I think that they're protecting themselves. So if something is incriminating on one of their officers, they have the right to somehow hold it back and protect them.
And it goes on to say that McCrory says technology can mislead and misinform. He actually said that. My goal is to protect those who protect us. He said, the governor believes legislation is fair for everyone. It's better to have rules and guidelines with all this technology than no rules and guidelines whatsoever, said McCrory. I'm gonna keep reading what he actually said. North Carolina calls legislation shameful. The AC, what is the ACLU? I don't know what that is. But body cameras should be a tool to make law enforcement more transparent and accountable to the communities they serve. But this shameful law will make it nearly impossible to achieve those goals, said Susan Birdsong, police counsel for the ACLU of North Carolina. People who are filmed by police body cameras shouldn't have to spend time and money to go to court in order to see that footage. These barriers are significant, and we expect them to drastically reduce any potential this technology had to make the law enforcement more accountable to community members. The governor's office would not comment on the criticism. The law goes into effect on October 1st. Wake County Sheriff Donnie Harrison is backing McCrory's move. He says, what law enforcement encounters in the field is not for everyone's eyes. A lot of groups think we should show everything from start to finish, and we just can't do it, said Harrison. They think we're trying to hide something that's not what it is. But if we go into a house for domestic assault and if the wife has been assaulted or has been unclothed, we don't want that on YouTube. That sounds like bullshit. So bottom line, the state of North Carolina is now saying that they're going to make the police camera footage off limits to public. And that's just crazy. That's just crazy. But once again, time and time again, we watch over and over young black people, and it's like it's young children, young black men, young black women, and people in their age. And there's actually another another video I wanted to play, which is very interesting.
Let me say something just before we start this video. You have racism to deal with, and then on top of that, you have the power of being a police officer.
Yes.
Holding that gun and having that badge. And what's really sad is I have a couple friends from Jamaica, Queens, and they told me that they are actually more scared of the black cops than the white cops. And I was like, really? I'm like, and they said that something about when these cops get that badge, instead of helping out and looking, to, just look out for them or guide them in some way or mentor these younger kids, they actually, portray that power. And I don't know what it is, but I think there's something about having that badge and that gun that you think that you can do whatever you want.
I agree.
It's crazy.
I guess I've been put on social media. Hey, call it if you want to call in, share your thoughts and comments or your opinions. You want to vent? 516-945-9099. And I agree. I think that certain police officers, when they get to that position, they feel like they're above the law.
And these are cops who grew up in the same neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? So it's like instead of like talking to them and being friendly and hey, you could be a cop one day too if you want it. It's just like getting to know the community. They almost like just act like they're almost all of a sudden now they're too good for the community that they grew up in.
Yeah, it's definitely
hard to
sad.
Understand.
It's definitely sad. We're trying not to be critical here and point fingers. And like I said, it's a double-edged sword. And what we're trying to do is really just say, hey, well, the what ifs. But like LA just said, we know why is it that, especially that you have officers of color who get that badge, get the gun, treat their own people like shit.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what it is. I have quite a few friends on social media who are police officers, and they know that I value them, I respect them, and I have never seen them in that way. And some friends, I knew a handful of friends who just became police officers, and they're putting things on like Blue Lives Matter, and one guy just put Blue Lives Matter on there. He just became a police officer, and I kind of wanted to say something to him, but I didn't. It was like, wait a minute, you just became a cop like last month.
and another thing,
like not that Blue Lives don't matter, excuse me, but
yeah, it's I know somebody. He's a lot younger than me, and he just went through the police academy. And do you know this is what they told him? They told him, "You are now part of the biggest gang in New York." That's what they told him.
I've heard that.
You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, really? He's like, yeah, that's what they said.
Yes, I have heard that, and it's crazy. Like I said, I have several friends who are cops, and sometimes I have conversations with them, even some guys in my reserve unit, and we spoke about it, and it's like they have a tunnel vision, and it's that, once again, it's that, oh well, we can see a cop do something right here, we all saw it, it'll be on video, and their response is, oh well, you don't know what happened prior to that. It doesn't make a difference. And I think what the public is saying, admit that you're wrong. Admit that these police officers who are killing innocent people are wrong. And what's the bad part about it is that media outlets, immediately when that individual is killed, they look for something to criminalize that person's character and disintegrate it. Like, oh, the person had a record. The person was arrested, had 50 moving violations. Doesn't make a difference. It still it doesn't discount the fact that the officer killed this person for doing something that they were actually supposed to do. Like in the situation with the young man and his girlfriend in the car. She said it. She said that he told the officer, I have a license to carry a weapon. And what is so interesting about that video is the officer was crying.
You know what? I didn't see that video.
Yeah.
So I'm not familiar. I heard about it, but I didn't see it.
And I didn't want to play that video again. It's all over social media, but they let out 4 shots. There's a child in the back seat. She said, you asked him for his license and registration. He said to you, I have a carry permit and I have a weapon on me. He told the officer that. And the officer looked scared. Once the officer shot him, he looked scared. And it shows that officer wasn't trained. So now you're not trained and you don't know how to deal with people of color. So what is this thing that people in law enforcement suppose you're afraid of their lives? If you're afraid of your life, then you're in the wrong profession. You are in the wrong profession if you're afraid of your life. I've been in the military since 1995. I had an 8-year separation. Talking to some guys that went downrange in the Middle East, they have rules of engagement. And you cannot fire upon an enemy unless the threat was the same threat or of more threat towards you. And these are guys who are, you're talking about reservists who know this. Well, now you have people who do this every single day who, once again, to protect and serve. And I'm not discounting the fact that you guys police officers deal with criminals, you deal with people. One of the toughest things a police officer can do is a vehicle stop. I know that. Once again, I have friends who are police officers. I had to work guard duty at gates on training in the military. One of the toughest things you can do is a vehicle stop. I know it because I was this last year. I was in the same position. I had to do a vehicle check of a military vehicle. About 25 soldiers in the rear. One soldier is giving me lip and arguing with me. Here I am, full battle rattle. I have an M16 in my hand, and this guy is cussing me out. Now, he don't know what my emotions were going to be. He don't know how, by him cursing at me, I could have been like, you know what? I could do one of two things. I could take my weapon and hit him. I could have grabbed him from the top of that vehicle, pulled him, making it broke his neck. So I get it. I understand it. But what we're saying is, you as a professional police officer, does it take you to shoot 4 times, to kill someone, to knock someone out? You know, and the bad part about it is when you look on social media and you see police officers and they interact with white males, it's totally different. And the majority of times when they are interacting with white males, they're not shooting them. They're tasing them. They're fighting them down to the ground. They're subduing them. But with black men or black people now, because now it's just black people. It's not even black men. You have black women. You have black children who are being killed by police officers every day now, and it's scary.
I had an experience a long time ago when I was younger, and me and my friend were working in the studio, and it was one of my black friends, and I was driving him home, and I was smoking, you know. Pot. I don't want to say.
Gotcha.
Anyway, I was smoking, all right. I dropped him off. I'm still smoking, and I turned the wrong way down a one-way street. Next thing I know, I'm getting pulled over. The car is filled with smoke, okay? I roll down my windows, and the cop says, man, he goes, that's some, smell you got coming out of that car. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, officer, blah, 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 blah. And then he let me go. And I said to myself right after that, I says, you know what? If my friend was in the car with me, or it was just my friend, I don't think that would have happened.
Yeah.
And then we're going back, 15 years, 20 years. But I felt it. I was like, I couldn't believe he let me go. Like, I was ready to go to jail.
Yeah.
At least a ticket for driving down the one-way street, whatever. But he basically let me go.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I says, wow. I says, if my friend was in the car, or if it was just my friend and I wasn't here, I don't think that would have happened.
And like I said, we as people of color, because I sometimes ask myself, when people ask me certain things, I'll say, if I were white, would they have asked me that question? Or if I were white, would they have done this? And you're like, probably not. It's funny because we didn't. I played a Jane Elliott video in February, and the video, most of y'all have been playing it, and the video is asking, it's asking a white audience, would you allow your would you want to be treated the way America treats Black America? And no one said anything. She said, let me ask the question again. If you see what's going on in America to Black America, would you want to be treated in that same fashion? And no one answered again. She said, so if you know that it's wrong, why do you allow it to happen? And that's the video I wanted to play. But you guys have seen the Jane Elliott video. And she has several videos, and with the brown eyes and blue eyes, her experiment of brown eyes and blue eyes. And what she's saying is that we have been conditioned to racism. And we have been conditioned to a point where just like it's taught to us, it can be untaught. So how can we unteach ourselves? Once again, people hate people for no reasons. And she's been on the social media and the news outlets talking about what's been going on heavy, real heavy. And it is just amazing what she's been talking about. And, You know, like I said, we can sit up here, debate it over and over, go back and forth about it, but the reality part of it is, the way America views black men in general is horrific, and people are finally taking a stance. You know, like I said, I wanted to play that last video, which was actually a very, very interesting video. Very interesting video. Check this video out, please. Definitely.
The reason why we're so pleased to have the covenant, and this is the best part of our action plan, is to reclaim the minds of our children. They went into the black homes now, the powers that be, and told us that you cannot discipline your children anymore, and if you discipline your children, you will go into jail. It's this kind of thing they told us. Then they went into the public schools and took discipline out of there. So when we acted up in there, they put our boys, our black men, into something called special ed classes. And as you know, those special ed classes are nothing but holding cells until they can go to the state prison. But this is what they did. And then, the one thing that they knew, that if we can put them in prison, if we can have them convicted for a felony, then once they get out of prison, they cannot get a job because of that. They cannot get the job. And then if they happen to eke out and find a job, then they have to pay taxes on a job, yet they cannot vote, and I call that taxation without representation. That's what we're looking at. And if one of the things that we would learn to do, they did a grand thing when they took that discipline away from us, because when they made our parents afraid to discipline the children, then what happened? We found out that the teachers were afraid of the principals were scared of the superintendents was scared of the school board was scared of the parents were scared of the children, and the children ain't scared of nobody.
I had, I played that because one of the things I keep telling people is that it takes a village to raise a child. And with everything that's going on, we also must take responsibility, part responsibility for what's also going on. Like another friend of mine became a police officer just recently. She put up a clip, and it was of someone being stopped. And he complied until the very end. He pulled out a gun and shot, I think, one of the police officers right under his vest. And she, she was like, this is what we go through. And another friend who she just became a police officer, and I think she's not even a month or 2 months on the job, but she put that video up. And I get it, that's what you go through, but that's your job, And unfortunately, you do go through that. And but going back to that video, it takes a village to raise a child. So with all the controversy with police officers, one also challenges that, like she said, people are afraid of these kids. Kids aren't afraid of nobody, and people are afraid of them. So we must take back our community. We can't discipline our kids anymore, because once we do, if we hit them, you go to jail, and ACS is called, and all these things are happening. Your kids get taken from you. But how can you raise these children in this society without disciplining them the way you're supposed to? So like I said, I keep saying it is a double-edged sword. So what are we gonna do?
There was a part in that video, she mentioned jail, and I don't know if a lot of people don't realize this, and I didn't even know this until about a year ago, but do you know that our jails have been privatized?
Yes.
And turned into businesses?
Yep.
Where actual corporations are running
That's right.
these jails.
Yeah.
So you have these companies. Obviously, the more people you have in jail,
the more
money
you get.
you're going to make.
That's right.
So the whole idea is keeping the jail. It's like a hotel.
That's right.
The
Keep
more
it full.
occupants you have, the more money you make.
Keep it's right.
So I mean, I was blown away when I heard that, and I just, that to me is sick. I don't know when that started, but to me, if anybody's going to run a jail, it should be the states, and this should be not for profit in any way.
And you know, there's so many things. We already know that there are many black men in prison right now who don't need to be there. And for whatever reason, some people deserve to be there. But if you get stopped for marijuana, they're putting you in jail for years, which is especially if you're a black man. So those are the things that we face on a daily basis. So someone asked me, well, how do you get those people out of jail? We're having a debate or conversation. And I said, you have all these law students doing law degrees. Why don't you have all these students at their last year? That should be their assignment, to look at people who are in jail, because obviously, especially if they're practicing criminal law, to do that. Or these people who are getting caught with misdemeanors, have them do community service. Why do they need to go to jail? Because like you just said.
And especially now, there's actually legal amounts that you can get caught with.
That's right.
And not go to jail. But yet there's people who are jailed for 10 years that are still in jail, and now you can get away with it. So if they're going to change the laws, then let those people out.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to keep them in there.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have been me. That
Yeah.
could have been me 15 years ago for
Yeah.
getting caught with whatever I had. I could have spent 10 years in jail.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you said, man, it's a double-edged sword and it's deep, but there's got to be a way, little by little, however it can be done, it's got to be corrected somehow.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I was looking at something too, and I kind of saved the picture. Let me see if I can find it. And it was a picture, I believe, with. Let me see if I find it on my phone. But it was a picture, I believe. Oh, here it is. It's a picture. It said, "Our heroes died, teaching us the blueprint to freedom. Boycott your oppressor, build your business, do for self, and by any means necessary." It is so important that we do these things, you know, and you know they're protesting. They're saying, "Hey, let's shut down these highways." And I think I read somewhere, someone said the reason why you shut down highways because you know the highway goes through the inner city and the ghetto, so you shut it down. You let them know that you have a voice. You cannot come through our neighborhood because for you to get from point A to point B, there's that gray area you got to get through. So they're saying, "Hey, we're gonna shut you down. You're not gonna come through here." People are saying, "Hey, we're gonna stop businesses. We're not gonna shop." A lot of that's going on. You know, where saying, "Hey, we're gonna shop. I mean, excuse me, we're not gonna shop on these days. We're gonna do X, Y, Z. We're gonna," but it has to be continually, and you have to understand what the major cause and effect is. You know, it's just so much. I know it's weird because there's so much that can't be talked about in an hour. You know, like you know, you have and going back to once again to Black Lives Matter. When you say, well, black once again, in the whole purpose of that organization, Black Lives Matter, is not saying that other lives don't matter. It's saying at the present time, yes, there's black on black crime. We know that. But what's happening is these police officers who are killing these young people, old people, children are getting away with murder. And it's not, and they're not isolated incidents. It happens over and over again. Like I said, just Facebook has this thing where it reminds you, oh, a year ago you did this. A year ago, I'm saying to myself, wow, this is happening again, you know? So, and it's over and over and over. So what do we do? Once again, what the governor of the state that what was it Philando Castile died in, he said it was plain racism. Rudolph Giuliani got on one of the was it I think CNN this weekend or MSNBC and said he was wrong for saying that. No, he was right. He said it. He's and he's another character, but he's saying we have to start admitting when we're wrong. It was wrong. It was wrong for that police officer to shoot in that car. One, to shoot the man. They shot him 4 times. He had a child in the back seat. And he was complying with everything he asked him to do. Forget about the fact that he had other moving violations with his car. He was shot in cold blood. He was. Alton Sterling was shot. He was subdued. He was on the ground, subdued, and they shot him. There were different angles of it. So I guess the whole point is really just saying that, we gotta just admitting there's a problem.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing before you end the show. You mentioned Rudy Giuliani, and he said something that, and I agree with him in this one aspect.
Okay.
He says something that Black Lives Matter. It sounds racist. Okay, I know it's deeper, but when you glance at it, it sounds racist. But you got to get past it and dig deeper.
Yes.
And I understand what you're saying, but even I, at one point when the Black Lives Matter, I said to myself, I don't get it. Why is it just Black Lives Matter? And then little by little I started to understand. But initially, it really does come off racist.
It's strong.
As you glance at it, you don't really understand it. And it sounds a little bit racist. So I do agree with him on that, but you gotta dig deeper, and I understand what you're saying. It's like certain things you have black entertainment television.
Yeah.
But you could never have white entertainment television.
No,
you know what I'm
can't.
saying? So it's just you gotta kind of get deeper underneath it. You know what I'm saying? Because on the surface, sometimes things don't really. You can't judge something just by the cover of it. You got to get deeper, So, it's just, could there have been a better way of saying it, a better hashtag? I don't know. But initially, it came off as a little bit racist, That's just from the way I look at it. But like now I understand it more, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay. Especially like, I will never know what it's like to be a black man. I'll never know.
Yeah.
So I have to understand that, and not everybody does, but everybody's gonna have to get it at one point or another.
It definitely, it's like the book To Kill a Mockingbird. She's in the book. It says, in order to understand the man, you have to jump in his skin and walk around. Just like the book Black Like Me, when the gentleman, he took darkening pills and he became darker because he wanted to see what it would be like a black man in the Deep South, and he said after all that he still didn't understand what it was because it was deeper than that. It was much deeper than him being a black man in the 50s and 60s in the South, and he did that in the 50s and 60s, and he was just like, it's much deeper than this. It's a problem that's been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Absolutely.
So I thought I'll get some calls tonight, people venting and things like that. But, once again, Alvin After Dark is here every single Tuesday from 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. Just some of the things that, I wanted to share with y'all and, kind of get off my chest. Once again, I didn't want to come up here angry black man.
Honestly, I think you did a great job.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I really do. I think you definitely got your point across, and you did not come across angry.
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
I'm not an angry person.
You are. You're a very calm, easygoing person, and it's when you can communicate with someone like yourself.
Yeah.
You can get it, but sometimes some people can't come across like that, and when you come across very angry and mad, sometimes you lose what you're really fighting for.
It's what it is. I think it's the emotions of people. Like I said, people are just sick and tired of being sick and tired. So their emotions, they're hurt, they're angry, they're compassionate, and they're sad. Their hearts are broken. So, but what can we do to mend it? Once again, and I think the biggest challenge is for these police officers, who commit these crimes, because they're crimes, who commit these crimes, to say, hey, you know what? And for people who are viewing it, who are their superiors, to say that was wrong, and it's okay to say that was wrong, and that's the biggest problem. Like the first video we showed, the guy, what he say? He says, "I'm sorry." The guy says, "That's all I wanted to hear you say."
Yeah, you had me crying when you said that.
Well, listen. Once again, thanks for tuning in to Alvin After Dark. Once again, we're here every single Tuesday night, and we're gonna, once again, give you relationship talk, entertainment, and fashion. Once again, if you have a product that you want to come and show us, or you're an entrepreneur, or you want to come co-host a show with me, come hang out with me in LA every Tuesday at StrongIsland.tv, 11 p.m. and 12 a.m. You can catch me on Instagram, AlvinPeters76, or email me at AlvinPeters76@gmail. And you know what? Once again, my thoughts is that I wish, I hope, and I pray that everyone can finally just come together and work together, talk with each other, not at each other. And it is so vital. It's important that we come together and work together, because if we don't come together, it's going to be total chaos. We don't want what's happening that happened in Baltimore and in these cities where we're tearing our neighborhoods apart because we can't come together and talk about things. But the bad part is, if these police officers aren't sentenced to jail, it's going to be hell to pay. And there's a lot of people going to be hurt, and people are going to be pissed off, and it's going to come to it's going to be inevitable. People are going to be pissed off and angry, and they're going to want to damage things. But my suggestion to you is you don't do that. You keep on keeping on, and you keep your head up, and you just have faith and trust in God that things will get better. Okay, so once again, like I always tell you, the good Lord don't put you through nothing you can't handle. It's all how you handle it. So peace out, have a good night, and we'll see you next week.